What's going on, everyone? Today we're bringing you a quick overview about crafting in Undecember, not to be mistaken for enhancing, which takes place over at the blacksmith. If you want more information about enhancing, you can go watch our video on that, where we go into much more depth and detail about all the different currencies and how they're used in enhancing. Crafting, however, takes place down at the alchemy bench. It is a relatively straightforward process in how it works, and has two types of materials that are utilized in it. For primary crafting, there is one additional material used for high crafting, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, normal crafting is very straightforward, and it is very simple once you understand how it works. And so we're going to use this helmet as an example for the crafting right now. And as you can see, the first material that you're going to see used is a trace of creation. It is an armor specific one, and so this is the one used for armor. The weapons have their own as well. Weapon trace of creation and accessories, same process. All of these pieces are tier 31 or lower. If you go to craft on a gear piece that is tier 32 or tier 33, it is going to add in a second material required in order to craft an additional option onto it, okay? And that is the Star of Memory. The Star of Memory you can also convert together in order to make traces of creation at the alchemy desk as well, if you need more traces of creation. Now, we're going to use this helmet again as an example. As you can see right here, we've already crafted on this helmet, and we got +4 HP on kill. So this specific option was originally a +6 HP on kill, but one of the possible crafting outcomes is more HP on kill. So it is possible to get the original crafted option again onto it, and it just adds it onto the pre-existing affix, okay? But over here, the list of all the possible outcomes that we could get, and it is an even percentage chance of all of them happening. Now, you'll notice some of these are crossed out, and it says tier 6. That means that this affix would need to be rolled at a tier 6 value or higher in order for these to be added to the pool of possible outcomes. All right, so some options are not available unless the actual affix roll is at a higher tier. Additionally, you may notice that higher tier options are also more costly for crafting, and that's because the higher tier outcome is more powerful, so it's more expensive. So keep that in mind when you're going to craft. Higher the tier, the more expensive, but the better the outcome. Now, regarding how this HP on kill worked for the application type of it, you'll notice that it is a type that has a plus sign. If you get one of the potential roll options that has a plus icon next to it, this means that it will just add this option in under the original option with no change to it whatsoever. If you get a option that has the spinning arrows next to it, it will take this base item option and completely remove it and add in the new option underneath it to replace it entirely. All right. And if you get an option, which we can't in this scenario, that has the down arrow on it, it will take the base option and lower it by a random amount, and then it will apply this new option underneath with a value as well. Now, the options over here that you get as a possible outcome cannot roll higher than the original base option tier. So the possible max outcome that I could get on this would be a T5 crafted roll. If I did it on this hit rate one, it would be a tier 10 max possible roll. So just to show you real quickly, you are able to recraft over a pre-existing craft. So you can do it as many times as you want for this first base initial craft. So we're going to click it. It's going to cost me my 1 trace of creation. We're going to do that. And we got plus 12% barrier. Okay. So that was the possible outcome that we got there. Plus % barrier was one of the options that was just a, additional increase to it. We don't lose anything on our +6 HP. So that was one of the potential outcomes there. If we wanted to change it, we can just go and say we're over hit cap and we don't need the percentage on there. We can just go and craft it. It's asking us if we want to change the roll on it. We unfortunately hit percent hit rate again, but so you can see it takes that hit rate percentage and just added it onto the original value that was there. So now our hit rate percentage increase is 57%. And let's say we go back under hit cap and we want to reroll on the HP on kill. We can just swap it one more time and it's going to remove that original craft and put it on this new one. Unfortunately, we didn't get any of the other options for you, so I can't show you that. But, you know, it's just one of those things that I'll show you with the ring here. We hit plus HP on ours, and the HP on this ring completely swaps places with the mana. So this one was originally mana, and so it dropped our mana to 0, and instead we got a +4, a tier 4 plus HP craft on it instead. All right, so that's an example of the stats swapping places as well. Now, if you want to add a second craft option onto a piece of gear, that is possible, but it is not recommended that you do unless you are prepared for the additional possible outcomes that come with it, because it is much riskier. All right, there is something called high crafting, which uses high traces of creation. All right, very unique, rare material. And while it makes you look like you can select an option when you click on it, you do not get to select one of these options. What this lets you do is see the possible outcomes from each of these options, but when you high craft, it will take one of these options at random and roll it, okay? Except for an option that already has a crafted imbuement on it. So because we already have HP on kill crafted on, it will not select this option. It will only select one of these other 4 at random and roll one of these possible outcomes on it. Once you do this, the gear piece becomes locked and you are no longer able to craft on it, and you are stuck with whatever the possible outcome is. So the reason why I say unless you're prepared is, let's say you have a crit based weapon and you roll a high trace of creation and it eliminates your crit rate value on that gear piece. That would completely brick your now crit based build. And so you would want to undo that trace of creation. The only way to eliminate a trace of creation application is by going and using a trace of disintegration. All right, and you make a trace of disintegration at the alchemy desk. And what you do when you use a trace of disintegration, though, is that it removes all of the crafted imbuements. So your original first craft and the high creation craft are removed from the gear, and the gear piece goes back to normal. So you then have to then go and do your first craft again, which is fine because you can do your first craft as many times as you want, and it's not really that expensive to do. If you need a trace of creation or other trace materials, you can go to the other and you can go to the conversion right here. So if I need more armor traces, I can use star memories and I can convert them into traces of creation armor here, accessory, weapon. And the trace of disintegration, though, that requires a high trace of creation as a base reagent, along with 30 reversion essences, which are the scouring orbs essentially. So you need to make sure that you have the appropriate materials needed on hand in case you potentially brick your craft with a high craft. So don't do a high craft until you're prepared for the potential possible outcomes in order to fix it. All right. So that's the first thing for it. Now, if you need more materials, as you just saw, you can go and do conversions over here at the desk. From there, there is a way to target material acquisition, and that is firstly through Chaos Dungeons. And you can have these memory runes. You'll notice that as you're doing Chaos Dungeons, one of the possible events that happens on the maps are the memory runes on the ground that you activate, and it'll spawn some mobs, and they will drop you fragment pieces. But when you go to apply to a map, if you have any of these memory runes right here, you can apply them to the dungeon, to the map run, and it will forcibly create that event on the map encounter. So you can go and do that, and those encounters will drop you these Tria memory piece of regret. So this one was a memory piece of regret for Tria. And once you have enough of the possible pieces, you can come over here to the alchemy desk and go to the traces of memory. And when you have enough of the right ones, you can combine them and craft them into a full trace of memory card, which you can then run like a normal chaos dungeon. And so these are ways to target specifically getting these crafting materials through a specific mean outside of your normal acquisition of them just from playing the game normally and doing content within the game. So that's a nice way to be able to target these specific types of things. And you can upgrade these cards as well with these chaos upgrade stones that you get as well from drops throughout the game also. So that's a nice additional way of being able to do that. But that is the crafting process at its base level for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope this was helpful for some of you. If you have any questions, you can come ask us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Zav or leave a comment and I'll try to do my best to get back to responding to them. If you enjoy the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. And as always, until the next video, take care and have a good one.